The second rule was about the lights in the trees. If you see one fire, you log it and you radio it in. But if you ever see a second light, one that holds still when you hold still and moves when you move, you do not log it. You do not radio it in. You pretend you never saw it at all. I read that card by lantern light, 80 feet up a fire tower, with nothing around me but black forest in every direction. And I even laughed at the last rule, the one that said the lookouts who broke them were still on the watch. Then, on my third night, I raised my lantern to the window, and out in the trees, something raised one back. They told me the fire lookout was the loneliest job in the state. Tower 6 sat on a ridge in the deep backcountry, a 4-hour drive from the ranger station, and another hour's hike past where the road gave out. 80 feet of timber stairs up to a one-room cabin made of windows, where a single person sat all night and watched 100 square miles of forest for the orange bloom of a fire starting. The ranger who drove me in had tired eyes and a careful way of talking. He gave me a radio, a gas lantern, and a laminated rules card. He said the last lookout had come down early, and the way he said it made it sound like the worst thing a person could do. Then he hiked back out before dark, and I never saw him again. There were 6 rules. 1. Your watch runs from dusk to dawn. Stay in the cabin. Do not go down the stairs at night, no matter what you see or hear below you. 2. Scan the forest each hour. Log any fire. But if you see a second light, one that mirrors yours, do not log it, do not radio it, do not look at it for long. 3. The radio carries other towers checking in. Answer them. But if a tower that no longer exists calls your number, Tower 9 has been gone for years, do not answer and never give your position. 4. At 3 a.m., the lantern will gutter, and the cabin will go dark. Lie down on the floor below the windows and stay there, eyes shut until first light. 5. If you hear footsteps climbing the tower stairs, or knocking on the hatch in the floor, it is not another ranger. Do not open the hatch, do not speak. 6. Follow the rules, and you climb down at sunrise. The lookouts who didn't are still on the watch. I laughed at that last line. For 2 nights, nothing was all there was. The third night, I was doing my hourly scan. You sweep the dark with your eyes slow, looking for the smallest spark of orange that means a fire's been born. I lifted my lantern toward the glass, and far out in the trees, a light lifted at the same moment. The same height, the same yellow. It rose when mine rose. It held when mine held. Rule 2, do not log it. Do not look at it for long. I lowered my lantern. Out in the black, the other light lowered too. I set it on the table. The other light winked out. I told myself it was a reflection. But reflections don't sit a half mile out in the trees. And reflections don't, an hour later, look a little bit closer than they did before. I wasn't laughing anymore. After that, I watched the clock the way you watch a storm come over the ridge. At 2:58, I stopped pretending I wasn't waiting for it. And at exactly 3 a.m., the lantern guttered, the flame shrinking to a blue bead. Then nothing, and the glass cabin dropped into a darkness so total that the forest and the sky became one black thing pressed against every window. Rule 4, lie down on the floor, eyes shut, until first light. I got down on the boards below the windows. I shut my eyes, and I listened to the tower sway and tick in the wind, 80 feet of timber breathing around me. For a while, there was only wind, and then the stairs began to creak. Something was climbing the tower, slow, deliberate. One timber step at a time, 80 feet of them, the whole tower groaning under a weight that climbed and did not tire. Rule 5. If you hear footsteps on the stairs, it is not a ranger. Do not open the hatch. Do not speak. The climbing reached the top, and then on the hatch in the floor, 18 inches from my face, 3 slow knocks. Hey, I saw your light. I'm with the service. I got turned around on the ridge. Open the hatch and let me warm up. It sounded so reasonable. Come on, I can hear you lying right there. I followed your lantern all the way up. You're the one who waved me in. I pressed my hands over my mouth and said nothing. The radio hissed to life, and a flat voice said, "Tower 6, this is Tower 9. We have your position. We're coming up." Tower 9, that had been gone for years. And then, all at once, the knocking stopped. The radio died, and gray first light bled through the windows. First light. I opened my eyes. The hatch was shut. The radio was dark. The lantern sat cold on the table, and through the windows the forest lay gray and endless and empty, mist pooling in the low draws. I'd kept every rule. The watch was over. All I had to do was wait for the sun, climb down those 80 steps and hike out to my truck and drive until there were people again. That should have been the end of it, but I made one mistake. While I waited for the sun, I picked up the grid map off the table, the one with every fire tower in the district marked on it, and out of habit, I counted the towers. There were supposed to be 6 towers in the district. I'd memorized them my first day. 6 little symbols, mine in the center. I counted 7. A new symbol, inked at the edge of the map where the forest was supposed to be unbroken, older than the others, in a hand that wasn't the ranger's. And when I looked up, out the east window, there was a tower. Another lookout, identical to mine, standing on a ridge a half-mile out, where I knew there had been nothing but trees. Its glass cabin caught the dawn, and in it, a figure stood at the window, looking back at me. The forest doesn't let its watchers leave. It builds them a tower of their own, and it makes them the second light, the one that waves the next lookout in. The mountain doesn't lose the people who watch it. It keeps watching back. The figure in the second tower lifted its hands and pressed them flat against the glass. A young man, about my age, in a lookout's jacket exactly like mine. Even at half a mile, even through 2 panes of glass and all that gray air, I could feel him looking right at me. And I could see his mouth moving, the same shape, over and over. Run. I ran, down all 80 steps, taking them 4 at a time, and out along the trail to where the road dead-ended and my truck sat under the pines. I got in. I turned the key. And the engine turned over and over and never caught, not once, not even a click. My radio was nothing but static. My phone had no signal. It never had the whole time I'd been up there. And on the seat beside me, where I had not left it, was the laminated card and the duty logbook. I opened the log to the watch rotation, the page that lists who mans Tower 6. There were 2 names on it now. The last lookout, the one who came down early. And under his, in fresh ink, still wet, mine. I'm telling you this from the cabin. The sun's down. My watch has started again. I don't know how many nights it's been now. The log resets. The lantern's full again. The card's back on the table. And at the top of a clean rotation sheet, in handwriting I don't remember as mine, my name is already written in. So I'm going to do the only thing I can do. I'm going to follow the rules. Every one of them. Exactly. Because the card says that if I follow the rules, I climb down in the morning. It doesn't say down to where. If you're ever deep in the backcountry after dark, and you see a light out in the trees that wasn't there before, a light that holds still when you hold still, and moves when you move, don't signal it. Don't climb toward it. And whatever you do, don't follow it home. Because every light in those trees was someone once, sitting in a glass room, certain they were the only soul for 100 miles. They're still watching, and there's always room on the ridge for one more. They told me the night train practically drove itself. They gave me a card too. And the fourth rule was about the station that has no name. If you made it to the end, would you have opened the hatch for the voice on the stairs? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe to the Dread Archive, and I'll see you on the night train.